Hi, my name is Constance Gorman, and I have developed a choice board with 9 different options, and I'm going to explain each one. The first one is called Build a Sandwich. Now, the lesson plan that I am using with this choice board is a tree diagram. So in a previous lesson, you assume that, the students have been taught what a tree diagram is. They've had chance to practice drawing those themselves using just coin flip options. But there are, other ways of drawing diagrams for different situations. And that's what the first choice is. It's called Build a Sandwich. So instead of 2 outcomes, heads or tails, like in the flipping of the coins, this is Build a Sandwich where you have a choice of 3 types of cheeses, 2 types of breads, and 4 types of meats. So it's a little different than just a coin flip because there's only 2 outcomes, and in this case you have 3 different outcomes. And, we've introduced events. So event is when you have a choice of something. So in this case, there's actually 3 events, a cheese choice, a bread choice, and a meat choice. So this is a little bit different. And I put it in the choice board for the students that need a challenge. And if they needed help, I have a video here that they can access.
Hey guys, Anthony here from Matt. Thank you again for stopping by on this lesson.
And here it is here. So this video gives an example of a similar situation, except you have a choice of shirts, a choice of pants, and a choice of shoes. So if they watch the video and how the gentleman draws the tree diagram, then they should be able to apply that information to this new situation of building a sandwich. The second choice is it's triplets, and I selected this for the students that struggled somewhat with the tree diagram concept. So this choice is interactive, but it's pretty simple to understand. So I'll give you a little view of that.
Tree diagrams. The following tree diagram will show all the possible gender outcomes in the birth of triplets. Each child has 2 possibilities. The child will be either a boy or a girl. This part of the diagram.
Okay, so now I'm paging through, but this is actually
a 1 out of 4 chance, or 1/4 of a chance,
it's
that
an
the first 2 babies will
interactive
both be girls. There is a
video.
2 out of 4 chance,
So that's what I like about it.
That 1/2 of a chance that there will be 1 girl and 1 boy.
Okay, so anyway, well, I can't stop that video, but anyway, I like this video because it explains it. Plus, the students can enter data and submit it and determine whether if they are correct or not. So this is probably the easiest activity, in my opinion, for the students that really do not, know what's going on at this point. There's always 1 or 2 that are lost, and it might be their own fault. Sometimes they zone out. Maybe they were absent. Who knows, but you need something for the students that are on the lower level of understanding. So my whole objective of choosing each one of these was to address students at different levels of understanding. When I set out to create this choice board, that's what I wanted to do. That was my goal. And what I was focusing on was also using multiple media for communication. So, as we've studied that there are different types of learners. There's learners that are visual learners, some that are auditory, some that are kinesthetic, some that are musical, some that are tactical. So I tried to incorporate all 5 of these into my choice board. So the first one is really just applying what they know. So it's not, they're creating another tree diagram, so that's visual and it's tactile because they have to use pencils and paper. But the goal for that one was really to apply what they knew in the original situation and apply it to another situation. The triplets, it's just more of an introductory still for the students that didn't grasp it the first time, so they can watch a video, so that's for the visual learners. The third one I like because it's a riddle. So some kids like puzzles, or to solve or problem solvers. So I thought this riddle was cute. And then I incorporated in to the problem that they would write an essay solving that tree, drawing the tree, and determine how you could solve that riddle using a tree diagram. But how they would respond to this is in essay form. So this one was for the students that have a strength in the language arts, and they would prefer to, choose make a choice in that direction. Okay, the fourth one is the one I call the straw one, and that's for the learners that need some sort of tactical, movement, some sort of movement or creative, to understand the material. So in this choice, I asked the students to use straws of different colors to create the tree diagrams. So that way they would have something physical to work with as opposed to just drawing a picture. The one in the middle, Are You a Genius? That is for the learner that totally gets this new concept and they're probably bored. So you have to have something that's more elevated, that they can apply what they know and to create new knowledge. So this is an interactive, let me click on this. It's an interactive endeavor. It's high level. So the tree diagrams are simple. So, I didn't, make them stretch in that respect. But in this case, they offer probabilities for each outcome. And, I'm hoping that these students will learn by discovery to be able to answer these questions. So in this case, the students, they're given a question, they have to respond with an answer, and they have to submit, it's a test, they call it a test, but I'm not calling it a test. I'm just, determining whether if these students that are gifted, that's kind of a buzzword these days, will be able to tackle something like this. So this is an endeavor that I can get the results back. The next one is to make a 5-minute video, because there are some students that are interested in the arts, and some of the arts are videography. So this choice requires the student to explain how a tree diagram is constructed using outcomes of their choice. So they could, do roll of a dice. A dice has 6 faces. If you roll it, if you roll it 3 times, what would be the tree diagram and how you would construct that. So it's similar to a coin toss, except you have 6 outcomes instead of 2, heads or tails. So this is for the student that, is more on the artsy side. The next one is Quizlet, and I know a lot of teachers use that, and students like it because let me go to it here. So they have cards that you can flip and get the answers. So most teachers are familiar with this. So they give you a question, give the student a question. In this case, given the tree diagram, what is the probability of getting 2 greens? Well, they can follow the tree diagram and come up with an answer. Then they flip the card, and there is the answer. And there's multiple cards, so they can proceed to the next one. So in a bag, there are 4 marbles and 10 blue marbles. I select one counter, in other words, one marble. What is the probability that it is blue? So then the student would either create a tree diagram, or if they know probability, they could actually answer this and flip the card and get the answer. So this is very common. A lot of students like Quizlet. That's the reason why I included it in to my choice boards. All right, this middle one is to create a song or jingle that teaches how to construct a tree diagram. So, I'm not the most musical person, but I have seen videos, especially in chemistry, that they come up with jingles to help the students learn the octet rule, for how electrons fill in the different energy levels. And they're really cute. I mean, they're not boring at all, and they're very educational. So someone who has musical abilities might want to go for this one, to stretch their creativity. So again, remember, I'm focusing on using different media, and I'm trying to address their different learning capabilities. Now, finally, in the last one is one where they have to fill in the data. And let me click on that. So I've inserted the links for all of these. Now, I know that that's kind of, but if you blow it up here, there you go. Okay, so the students have a tree diagram here. It's not specific to coins or cards or dice. They just tell you what the outcomes are for each and the probabilities. And along the line in this lesson, we studied how the probabilities have to add up to 1. So that's what this lesson basically, not test them on, but it's more formative, to see, if they understand how this all works with a tree diagram. And then they enter in their answers in the boxes. And then that way I can check to see if they understand, or they can check themselves. Okay, so that is my choice board. So I'm looking at the questions I need to answer. So do tools teach students to self-monitor their learning successes and struggles? Well, yes, definitely the Quizlet, because they get immediate feedback, whether if they're right or wrong, with answering the question. The other one with its triplets, it also gives feedback right away. If you don't have, well, I can't stop this thing. So, I hate to play this video, but within the video, they do have the option to answer questions. And if you get it wrong, you get many attempts to try it again. Let's see. Do tools help students goal set and develop strategies for improving learning? Well, I don't really know if it really sets goals. It's really more for either applying what they know or determining if they have an understanding, of this concept of tree diagrams in different situations. So it really, none of these really address student goals, I don't think. 3, does a tool allow you to collect data and other information? Yes. So definitely the first one, build a sandwich. They have to draw the tree diagram. Let's see, collecting data. Well, with the straw choice, they have to draw their tree diagram. So they're actually, creating a visual tool in order to, which acts as data in order to answer probability questions. Are you a genius? I mean, that's the highest level one I have. That definitely does. The students, the data is presented, but they do have to interpret the data. And let's see. So really, as far as collecting data, any of the choices that require drawing a tree diagram, which solving the riddle would, in order to solve the riddle, you really have to draw a tree diagram to see, how much money he will have. So build a sandwich and solve a riddle requires them to collect data, and the straw one. And number 4, do tools give students easier and faster access to feedback on their performance? Yes. So definitely the Quizlet gives immediate feedback. The It's Triplets gives immediate feedback for the portion where they ask a question and they have to put in an answer. And the fill in the blanks also. Let me check that out. I wanted to make sure that they get feedback on that. They should. So they have to fill in the blanks. They should. Okay, and that is my tree diagram extravaganza choice board. Again, my goal was to address the different learning abilities of my students, whether if they're visual, musical, tactile, auditory, kinesthetic learners. I tried to address all 5 of those, and also the different levels of understanding of the students with this choice board.